We believe that you are strong by design, and you were made in God's image to have a strong body, mind, and spirit. You're listening to the #1 Strength and Health Authority podcast in the world. So let's get ready to unlock your potential and transform your life in today's episode.
Hi, and welcome to Strong by Design. I'm your coach today, Tanya Fines, joined by a very special guest, Dr. Darrell Misak. I hope I said that correctly. Misak, sorry about that. Really excited to have Dr. Misak on the show because of his background and his experience, particularly when it comes to alternative health and what I view as holistic measures and just ways that he is working to help improve people's health and support optimal energy, naturally, just restoring health naturally. And what I love, I took this from the bio, that in essence, your goal is to teach health and observe restoration, which I found to be a very profound statement. So I can't wait to kick this off. Welcome, Dr. Misak.
Thank you.
So glad to have you here. Talk a little bit about that statement, to teach health, but observe restoration. What do you mean by observing restoration?
Well, how many people teach restorative health?
Yeah, good question.
None, so
Right.
I just wrote a book and it's going to be called Restorative Health by the Numbers because I teach a bioelectric chemistry approach and help people to understand that if you get your chemistry in a particular pattern where you're literally gaining more energy than you're consuming, your body's natural tendency is to repair itself if it has what it needs, because most people have deficiencies.
Right.
And so we identify those deficient patterns through the chemistry, and then it says, hey, you need more of this, and you watch people go through, but you literally, historically, if you want to know the patterns of healing, back in the 1800s, the father of American homeopathy, his name was Constantine Herring, and it's called Herring's Laws of Cure. And they're used quite often in homeopathy, how the body heals from the inside out, top down.
Right.
Symptoms go in reverse order of the history of having them. He observed how the body heals, and it's amazing. You watch these patterns. And when I see things in the chemistry, you can almost predict when people are going to see certain things happen in their body and life while they're going through it.
I love that. And what I particularly like about it is that I've been working in health and wellness for 27-ish years. Mm-hmm. And I've always maintained that the human body is the most amazing machine or piece of equipment that we're ever going to have any access to, because its ability to do what it's supposed to do is incredible.
Mm-hmm.
You can see people that have been through terrible traumas, people that actually don't look after themselves, abuse themselves terribly with, all kinds of substances, and yet they're still alive. Like, their quality of life isn't great. Their health is not great. But the fact that the body can continue to go with the amount of crap we can put it through is fascinating. So the idea that, like restoration, like allowing for that space for the body to actually do its job to heal and restore.
Oh, totally.
Is remarkable. Remarkable.
People don't understand how you can observe these patterns and how the body goes through it. And so, you have people who just think that they're going to go and replace, hey, natural medicine is just replacing my drugs with nutrients and herbs instead. And it's not even close. You know, there's this whole body approach. And so, I had a lady yesterday followed up. She's had, as long as she can remember, she's had pain. The last time that she, yesterday came in and I have not had pain. It's completely gone, but it took,
Incredible.
We're only about 3 months in. And I'm like, based upon your age, you're nowhere near where you need to be. But in reality, after 18 to 24 months of maintaining, keep your chemistry here, and it's just going to keep getting better, we should see this steady improvement. And the fact that the symptoms that your body was screaming to you are gone, just as a confirmation that that your body's in a healing phase. And I explained to her, now your body's starting to detoxify. Expect these type of symptoms, and it's just a beautiful pattern that you can watch. And I just tell people I don't cure, prevent, diagnose or treat, that I teach, I educate, I analyze, and just watch people do self-restoration. It's amazing.
That it is amazing and it's fantastic. So I kind of jumped ahead with that because I love that statement in your bio that's on your website. But I want you to take a moment and just tell us a little bit about yourself, who you are and how you got to where you are today. What brought you into this career?
Okay, well, I'm me. I grew up in West Virginia, but I think everybody's got gifts,
Yeah.
And my gift was kind of like beating the system. How does it work? And how do you get around? How do you make things work better or fix it? So, I was taking apart cars, taking apart bicycles. I just fixed things, and then got into, when I was into pharmacy school, I noticed that I loved anatomy, physiology, biochemistry, how the body works. That led me eventually to, working at Duke and seeing people die, working on cancer patients and general medicine. And, all I'm doing as a pharmacist is trying to find the most cost-effective medication. And just, but you're not seeing people get better,
Yeah.
And so I started asking the questions, why are these people falling apart? And biochemistry says they need B vitamins. They need vitamin C. Why aren't we giving these things?
Right.
And they said there's no research. And that's before we had Google and you had to go to the library and go through those great big mesh terms and look up, mesh terms and then go to the stacks and pull the articles. And I pulled articles from the 1960s showing vitamin C and these vitamins having an effect. And they're like, that's been refuted. Never found it refuted. But I started seeking, and next thing you know, working with cancer patients, I started learning about Ralph Moss and Moss reports, and all about cancer. And then Julian Whitaker, and then Julian Whitaker in his Wellness Institute talked about these natural doctors that, and I'm like, what the heck? What are those, Next thing you know, I'm living in Portland, Oregon, doing compounding pharmacy while going to naturopathic medical school. And even afterwards, they train naturopaths, at least licensable naturopaths, to be primary care physicians. So they incorporate medications, have a full spectrum in Oregon to write any medication that an MD can write for, order to labs and whatever. And they're literally training them, in my opinion, fear-based medicine to, attack it with drugs, get it under control. Then you can try to apply your natural principles. And as I started practicing and, just reading all this stuff about nature cure that you learn about in natural medicine, it just led me down rabbit holes to like, how's it work? How's it work? And now I'm down to Tesla. If you want to understand the secrets of the universe, you have to think in terms of frequency and vibration. Einstein, energy is the same thing as matter. So heat are heat and electricity. And then a guy named Dr. Kerry Reams, and he explained how the body ionizes electrically and what makes up that ionization potential for you to rebuild yourself electrically and generate energy. And he was curing everybody before he was thrown in jail in 15 states by teaching people how to fast and eat based upon their chemistry. And I just started diving into this. And next thing you know, the more I do it, the more miracles I watch happen. Right.
That's fantastic. And I think, do you think we're maybe, because you do see it not as much like when I first started many moons ago, everything was like anything outside, or it felt to me that anything outside of like traditional Western medicine was considered alternative. But do you feel like there's a greater like it's not like alternative as in different weird voodoo. It's alternative, but it doesn't have the same connotation anymore that it used to. It's more like it's making its way finally into like the mainstream, and people are really actually looking for that.
Yeah. Even when I was in 1990s, they were talking about, that 80% of clients did not tell their doctors that they were taking all these natural substances. Yes. They knew nothing about drug, nutrient, herbal interactions. Nowadays, they call it functional medicine. Let's look at the biochemistry and let's look at how we can support these pathways, identify what's breaking up, whether it be heavy metals, whether it be mold toxins, and using functional. And I do incorporate some functional medicine, but I look at people's blood. There's a dry blood behind me up on the screen. I look at people's live blood, how it moves. I test people electrically for, it's called EAV, electrodermal testing for food chemical sensitivity, see what they're electrically reacting to, say, hey, stop eating this. Built my practice on it before I even understood about the chemistry, because you figure out what people should stay away from, you reduce that chronic stress load on the body, and you see improvements.
Yeah.
And then I do the chemistry, it's called RBTI, Ream's Biological Theory of Ionization. And that's what just changed everything. And now I'm considered the teacher of RBTI today.
Wow.
And never meant to, but the more I do it, it's just amazing what I see in these numbers. You can come to me, don't even give me your chart. Let me see your numbers and I'll tell you what's going on with you. And I'm not any great magical genius person. It's just I've learned to, with the medical background and what these numbers are representing and what they're saying. Hey, if these numbers are in these ratios, this is happening in your body, and these are the symptoms that you would have. And I've had people just turn around, be like, "Oh my God, you actually know what's happening with me," and did you? And I didn't even put that in my chart. And I'm like, I haven't even looked at your chart yet.
So you're the interpreter, really? Like you can look at something that the rest of us can't see, or if we saw it, would be like, okay, well, that looks kind of cool. Right. But you're actually able to look at it and go, here's some things to do and here's some things to not do. And like how, when I hear that, I'm like, the simplicity in that and I'm not trying to play down what you do as being simple, but just that simplicity, being able to look at that and go, okay, here's some things you should be doing. Here's some things you shouldn't be doing. This needs to be a lot, even more mainstream, because people are doing elimination diets. They're cutting out gluten when they don't really need to be. But I think people are trying so hard and so sincerely to do things to improve how they're feeling. And they're just they're pulling all the ropes because they're not really sure. And
I've
they don't know.
I've got a thyroid disorder, so I'm going to take all these things for my thyroid. My adrenals are shot, so I'm going to take all these things for my adrenals.
It's a house of cards. Then it becomes, then you get the house of cards.
Yep. I start people with basic vitamins, basic minerals, diet change.
What are the basic, we don't want to create any issues, but just on a general level, like looking at our population, what are vitamins that we all should really consider making sure we're getting the minerals?
So when you break down, ashes to ashes and dust to dust, right?
Yeah.
Okay, what is your ash made of?
Mineral.
60% calcium, 24% phosphorus, 12% potassium, 85 trace minerals. You are minerals, and those minerals and your soil, the distribution of those minerals dictates the ability of your body to generate energy.
Right.
Okay, so calcium regulates all the other minerals and how they move in and out of the body. Mm-hmm. But there's various forms of calcium that raise your pH, various forms of calcium that lower the pH. And so there's an ideal pH, for biological optimization. It's 6.4. And you need all of these, basically, these calcium. So you learn how to pick which foods that'll move your chemistry in the correct direction to improve efficiency. The problem is our foods today. Have you ever heard of soil depletion? Mm-hmm. And all they use is NPK, and Franken farming, right?
Yeah.
And so you turn around and you're not getting the minerals you need. Right. So you need to take some. So people are walking out of here with specific forms of calcium, specific forms of magnesium, specific forms of, have you ever heard of Hans Neiper?
Yes.
The Curious Man. Yes.
Yes.
So he gave us the idea of how minerals act as cofactors.
Yes.
Specific forms of minerals to allow viruses not to transmit across the cell membranes, to allow the firing of the heart to keep in rhythm. And how, so I incorporate Hans Neiper's work with Kerry Reams's work. And then when you're looking at the blood, when you're looking at the chemistry, it shows you that these basic vitamins are going to be deficient. So many people are going to walk out of here with B12 and folic acid because you look at their blood and 90% of people are in need of it. Some people with a little bit of iron, some people, most with selenium and zinc. Some of them with manganese if they have hormonal imbalances. Some of them with trace amounts of copper or iodine. And so I'm looking at how to fix their soil to generate more energy is what it comes down to. I think one of the biggest things that just happened with me is that how to explain natural medicine, how you interact with the world around you.
Right.
Okay. And so years ago, there was a boiler that caught on fire or was steaming or something, and the fire department was here when I showed up on a Saturday morning. And I'm just like, hey, I need to go into my office and at least get my book so I can call everybody to cancel appointments. Yeah. And we canceled appointments using cell phones. At least we had them at that time. And then my office assistant's like, Doc, you overwhelm people. They come out of here and they're just like, their head's spinning with the amount of information. So we sat down, had a cup of coffee and she's like, what are you trying to do? And I'm like, number one, people need to realize that they interact with the world around them. Okay. And that you're only as healthy as what amount of burden you have on your body. So I created what we call the 5-phase optimal system. Phase 1, clean up your environment, pure air, pure food, pure water, EMF protection. I'm looking at quality of what you're putting on your body, what you're eating, and those type of things. Phase 2, test. It's identify your causes, test for food sensitivities, test and identify. Do you have mold toxins? Do you have heavy metal toxins? Test and identify so what your specific burdens are. Phase 3, support. And support is not, hey, I have an adrenal and thyroid disorder, so take everything for that. And support is not everybody needs CoQ10 and fish oils and whatever else or a multivitamin. Support is what can I identify that you specifically need in order to achieve what your body needs to achieve. And that's where the chemistry RBTI came in. So we give people the basics of what you need for the body, to support a process, not buy a product.
Right.
Phase 4 is detoxification. It's going to happen. You lower the load on the body below the threshold. You raise the threshold by giving people what they need. Next thing you know, their body's going to start cleaning up shop because I'm gaining up more energy, and detox is a natural process. And so many people just go to detox clinics and be like, and they feel great after they get sick and go through it.
Right.
Then they slowly go back to the same lifestyle and do the same thing.
Yes.
And then phase 5 is self-awareness. Is incorporating the aspect of you can change the world if you really realize your impact even on those around you and potential influence, or, just be positive in your changes,
Right.
But also self-awareness is like, realizing that when that body gives you a symptom, there's a reason for that, and not just take something to get rid of it. So that 5 phases led to the foundation of helping people to see, okay, this is how I interact with the world. It was RBTI that came in later that showed me specifically what people needed, and the blood. Looking at people's blood's just amazing.
I bet.
Our team would like to thank you so much for listening to the Strong by Design podcast. And if you're enjoying today's show, please share this episode with at least one friend or family member who will benefit from this message. And please subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes. Go to strongbydesignpodcast.com. That's strongbydesignpodcast.com. Let's get back to the show.
Those are your 5-phase optimal health program, which I love. And I particularly when you talk about self-awareness at the end, because I've always, back when I was living in New Zealand and I had my own practice, and I used to say to people, this vessel, this body of yours is the most incredible, sensitive, accurate feedback system you will ever deal with. And if you just stop and listen to it and pay attention, it's telling you what it needs or what it doesn't like. But a lot of times you're just like, oh, I got a headache. So you slam a couple cups of coffee, you get in the car, take the kids to school, you go to work. We get by. Like we're in
subconscious mode.
We're in subconscious mode and develop a level of tolerance that we just everything kind of brush off. It's a headache. Well, I didn't get enough sleep or this and that. And I mean, all of those, like lifestyle definitely plays a huge role in how our body feels, responds, what it absorbs, what it doesn't. But the very fact that every single thing your body, all of those little things, that's biofeedback. That is a feedback system.
Yeah.
And I think that really it's something that I've always tried to really hammer home to people. And I'd always get the eye rolls. Like, I want you to just for the next 3 days, just start tracking your food, track your activity, track your sleep. You don't have to write me a novel, just keep little notes. And they'd be like, something else to do. But I'm like, write this stuff down and write down how you're feeling. So when you come in here next week and you had, you woke up with a headache and you went to bed with a hard distended stomach, there's something we need to address. There's something that's your body telling you something, and we have to figure it out.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I think, and I do think people are becoming a lot more aware of that and accepting of that. This is something. I've got this body that's doing these things. I'm putting things into it. I'm putting things on it. And sometimes it has a reaction. And so I think people are becoming more like, willing to have that awareness and do some of that work as far as,
people are waking up a little bit for certain.
I think so.
And I that's something huge that I've seen is people are just starting to realize that they need to listen,
Yeah.
They need to listen. And that's step one. I mean, I look at those and I have them as 5 phases, and self-awareness is phase 5. It doesn't mean that's the last thing you do. Many times that's the first thing people do, so they can actually be aware that I need to take these other steps in my life and see the fruits of what that can offer,
Right. It's creating a habit. I think the self-awareness is as much creating consistency in a behavioral pattern as anything, because when it becomes consistent, it's part of a default system that you just do. You're starting to pay attention. You have that awareness.
Exactly.
It's more turned on rather than kind of walking around, like you say, in subconscious mode,
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's important. Now, there was a quote on your site that I want to read out, and I want you to talk about it because I love it. Life is governed by a set of natural principles and laws. As we recognize and honor these principles with our lifestyle choices, we improve the quality of our lives. It's such a simple but profound statement. And I want you to talk about it, because it's something to read and go, yeah, okay, I get it. But
I had a guy in 2005 who are around there that said, you need a website. This is before websites were cool, right? Right. And then on the way, he's like, you need to say something on the front of your website that just kind of makes a statement. And that's what I wrote down. It's
real, but it's so like the whole, I love as we recognize and honor these principles, because these aren't big things. It's not like there's some big, my opinion is that health, optimal health, quality of life, there isn't a big secret or mystery behind it.
Oh, no, not at all.
Like sometimes things happen, and so you might have to figure things out, but I think that's why it's such a multi-billion-dollar industry when you look at weight loss and supplementation and this diet and that diet and this, because it's like, oh, that's the answer. Here's the answer. It doesn't work like that. It just doesn't. There isn't a mystery or a secret or some Pandora's box that has all of the information in there that we need.
So one of the things is if anybody out there goes and seeks a naturopathic doctor, the first thing you're going to find is the principles of natural medicine. Primum non nocere, first do no harm. The healing power of nature. Tolle causam, identify the cause. Docere, doctor as a teacher. The vis medicatrix naturae, in prevention, just these 7 principles. And then if you go to docmisak.com, you'll see that I've written multiple articles. You'll see that I do podcasts, that I've done, that I do a YouTube show and teach all the stuff that I'm talking to you about. But one of the articles that I wrote even before RBTI was to my profession. I've written multiple articles in Naturopathic Doctor News and Review. And my latest ones are me screaming like, you got to understand this bioelectrochemistry stuff, people. This will change your life and your practice and the health of your clients. But I wrote an article years ago based upon Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective Leaders. And Stephen Covey says, hey, these are principles of the dynamics of people and interactions. Seek first to understand, then to be understood. The principles of working together for win-win situations, and just all these other things. And I wrote that article in regards to our profession. Let's take a step back and look how we're applying this as a profession. But when you're talking about principles, there's aspects of natural laws, just things that is cause and effect. So when I'm looking at people's chemistry, it's cause and effect. You do this is the effect I see. And based upon this effect occurring, this is a symptom pattern that you're going to get from doing this.
Right.
So let's stop doing this and not just take something to try to shut down the effect.
My arm hurts when I do this.
Right.
Then don't do it. And it can be, do you think sometimes that we're looking, not because we're all a bunch of hypochondriacs, but do you think sometimes we're looking for something that's much more complicated and intense than it really is, because we're still working on just accepting that this is our body, this is our environment, the two things are interacting, and sometimes something in our environment is really not working for us, and it's a very simple change, either in a lifestyle choice or a behavior to modify it.
Yeah, everything's cause and effect. That's just the way the world works. Einstein says everything's relative. So, boom, I hit that. There's relative energy that's expanded there that caused something else, but it can shoot a wave because it's all interconnected, like the Avatar movie, right?
Right. Yeah.
So people who do radionics, radionics is the measurement of electrical currents that says, hey, I can have a picture or some fingernails from you, and no matter where you are in the world, because it's all interconnected, we can change the energy around you in a measurable way,
Right.
And so it's all interconnected. And so, everyone's looking for that. They don't want to accept the aspect that it is a lifestyle.
Right.
That's the key.
Because sometimes we don't want to give up parts of our lifestyle.
Although, I came on your show and I teach people it's not a product, it's a process. Yet one of the reasons we came on today was to talk about a product as well,
Yeah.
And so, but it's hard for me to turn around and stick again to the principles. If you can help people to see the patterns and understand that cause and effect relationship, when they become aware of those things, that's gonna be the impetus to change.
Right.
There's after stimulus, there's a response.
Right.
So you have to have something that causes the right stimulus that says, okay, I've got it. Now let me do this.
Yeah. Yeah. So on that note, tell us about your product, because this I'm really, really excited about.
Well, in 2009, the Nobel Prize of Medicine was won by 3 physiologists, understanding that there's an enzyme called telomerase, and they've been studying telomeres, which are at the end of our DNA since the 1980s, a long time. They've known about telomeres, which are involved with cellular replication and these type of things. But they knew that as telomeres shorten, at the end of our DNA, that in our chromosomes, that we age. Period. Mm-hmm. And then these 3 physiologists discovered an enzyme called telomerase, right? And this enzyme prevents the telomeres from shortening. And what they did is they had these prematurely aged mice that would have been equivalent to being in their 90s. They were white. They had arthritis. They had cataracts. They had kidney failure. They were senile. They couldn't make it through mazes. And they stimulated this enzyme, and those mice literally reverse aged. They went back, their hair got dark, their kidneys restored, their cataracts went away, their brains grew 25% in size.
So now we all want this. Want this
exactly.
Now. So how do we get it, or is it even possible?
Well, that's exactly what I said. I learned about that in 2014, and so now I have Google. I don't have to go to those big books and research everything, right?
Microfiche.
So I go to Google and look up all the medical research, and I Googled, medical research on telomerase, on the enzyme, and then I started looking at these hundreds of abstracts, and next thing you know, I'm starting to see products, not products, but I'm starting to see natural substances, green tea, resveratrol, and elderberry, milk thistle, ginkgo, cynomorium, these herbal products. And that's where, being a compounding pharmacist, I'm like, okay, wait a minute. So I look and see, are there any products out there specifically for lengthening telomeres? And there was one called TA65. And if you took the amount that they wanted to, it literally could cost you $2,000 a month to buy that supplement in taking the doses that they were recommending. Wow. So they sell you a bottle of 30 pills for like $400, but they were telling you to take up to 6 or 8 of these a day. I'm like, holy crud,
Yeah.
So
nobody can do that.
Right. So I turn around and astragalus, is the primary herb, where TA65 has astragalus extracts called cycloastragenol and astragaloside 4. And so I'm like, okay, I'm going to put some cycloastragenol and astragaloside 4 in here, but I'm working on the principles of synergy. So I put some regular astragalus in there. Astragalus has been used for thousands of years for immune boosting, for adrenal support, for all these type of things, antimicrobial. And then green tea, the polyphenols, potent antioxidants. If you look at a bunch of the telomere products nowadays online, they're basically glorified antioxidants and multivitamins.
Yeah.
So, but the polyphenols, I put elderberry because the resveratrol, elderberry for immune boosting, right? Same with astragalus, immune boosting and antimicrobial aspects.
Yep.
Ginkgo, hey, their brains increased 25%. Why don't we increase circulation to the brain and again have telomerase activity? Milk thistle, what organ of your body takes more stress than anything? Your liver's literally a nuclear powerhouse if you understood on the chemistry aspect of what it is. Yeah. And milk thistle has, again, all of these herbs have telomerase activity. Purslane, that weed that most people are yanking out of their garden that they should be throwing in their salads because it has the richest source of omega-3 fatty acids from any food source. And fatty acids, number one, feed your brain, right? Take your essential fats, but also every cell in your body is based upon movement and the health of the fat ratios. So you're allowing things to transport across the cell membranes more effectively. And then there's an herb called Cynomorium, and it's a Chinese herb. It's been around for a couple thousand years, used as a yang tonic and for sexual vitality. But it doesn't make you feel wired like caffeine or anything. And so those are the basis of what I put in my product. My product's called Vi-Telometry, Vi-Telometry. So Vi-Telometry. Right? But then from a chemistry standpoint, calcium regulates the movement of all minerals. So I put trace amounts of calcium in there, and I put lemon. I put lemon in there because out of food substances, I'm sure you'll find all types of things, and have found how lemon can be beneficial for the liver and for all of these other benefits. But you know, antioxidant, vitamin C, all this other stuff. But when you look at a chemistry that everything in the universe is made of positive and negative charges, anions and cations. And cations are clumpy. That's what brings things together and clump. Anions disperse. My favorite commercial, and to explain that, is that 1 year ago, Dawn takes grease out of your way. That soapy, greasy sink, one drop of soap, bing, and all the grease went away. Well, all food is cationic in nature and causes clumping, except lemons. They're 100% anionic. So part of a chemistry program is I have people mix 1 ounce of fresh squeezed lemon to 9 ounces of distilled water and drink a third of that, or roughly 3 ounces after every meal, because it helps to disperse, stimulate the liver, normulate pHs, helps the body to dump toxins. So I put lemon in there because of a disperser, as an anionic disperser. And we have had stories that are just incredible with our product. Wow. It sells itself. You know, we have a high resale rate. The problem is our growth happened so rapidly last year in June, and we reached some threshold that all of a sudden Google says, nope, you can't advertise with us because your product is an experimental medical product. And all of a sudden, Facebook did the same thing. Instagram did the same thing. We were shut off from being able to advertise, which is a shame.
It is a shame.
So we haven't been able to reach social media to let people know the product exists. And so we're doing shows like this and saying, hey,
so you're going to
amazing. We have, it's formulated. I formulated it so people could take up to like 12 a day, but nobody needs that. I've taken as many as 8. And if I need, I usually pop 4 in the morning. And then sometimes I'll take 2 to 4 more in the afternoon if I'm burning the candle on both ends, and just going. But it's formulated for 4 a day, so there's 120 in a bottle. You could take 2 in the morning, 2 in the afternoon, that type of deal, or all 4 in the morning. We've had people just give amazing results. Because you can't make claims anymore, I just tell people to go to Amazon and you can look it up and just look at the certified, reviews that people have done on Amazon about the product. Otherwise, it's cheaper if they go to our website. You can go through docmisak.com and then click on to Vi-Telometry, or go to Vi-Telometry, VI-Telometry, Vi-Telometry.com, and then purchase it there. And if they use a discount code for your show, SBD10, we'll give them that 10% off. Okay.
And we're going to put those links in the show notes, those 2 links, docmisak.com and Vi-Telometry.com. So those are going to be the show notes, folks. You can click those links and again, enter that code SBD10 for Strong by Design SBD10, and you'll get 10% off. I know I'm going. I'm going to go get mine right after the show.
I'll send you a bottle if they haven't
sent you one
already. They should have it. We try to get them to you so you've tried it before we've gone on the show.
Yeah, no, I'm all over this.
The biggest testimony about the product is I had a dog. Her name was Clara, and Clara, she was 13 years old, right?
Yeah.
And what happened was she was getting cataracts. She was starting to walk outside the yard. Never would she go outside our yard. Getting senile. She started losing bladder control. Couldn't always make it all the way up the stairs. So we were having to carry this 60-pound dog. And my wife talked about putting her down. And this is right after I released my product. And I'm like, okay, let me do one more thing. Mm-hmm. So I mixed the product in a bag and I mixed it with collagen because, for dogs. And then we just started sprinkling it over her food. Within a week, she was acting like a puppy again and had complete bladder control, stopped peeing in the house.
Wow.
That dog ended up living another 2 years on that product. And so after that, that's why we came out with another one called Canine Telemetry, so it's the same basic product modified for animals in a collagen base. And again, we're just waiting to collect testimonial stuff because the stories are just amazing.
Thank you so much for listening to the Strong by Design podcast. To help our show reach more listeners just like you, please let us know how we've changed your life by leaving a 5-star rating and review on iTunes. Go to strongbydesignpodcast.com. That's strongbydesignpodcast.com. Let's get back to the show.
What can people expect, or what are some things they might start to notice when they start taking this product, and how long can they and I know that's really hard because everybody's different. Everybody's bodies are different, but generally, what can they start to experience and how long might it take before they start noticing changes?
It's usually mental focus and energy.
Awesome.
And many people, first dose.
Wow. I definitely need a couple bottles.
If you go and you look at the videos and stuff, we did a video with Kathy Ireland and stuff, and we had somebody interview, and she's like, oh my God, the very first day I took this stuff, and we have just go to the reviews on Amazon is what I tell people. Okay. Because I can't make those claims.
Right. But
we've had 70-year-olds say that they get their sex life back after 6 years.
Oh, hey.
We've had 40-year-olds say, my husband loves that I take this product because I'm back after him. You know what I mean? And we've had people say that they can get through their day. We've had people say their thyroid condition's correct. We've had people say their hair comes back in, from and getting dark where their hair was white. Yeah. And all of a sudden their hair's growing in dark from the bottom up. And they're like, what's happening here? So we've seen some amazing things, but again, we can't claim that that's what goes on by taking this product. Does that make sense?
Totally makes sense. And
that's why I tell people, hey, write the reviews and thank you for the reviews.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I'm right after the show. I'm just going to go order a couple bottles because I really need that.
We'll send you one for certain.
Oh, thank you. So, so folks, you've got the link. You heard the links, but check the show notes so you can go on there, enter that code, get the 10% off. Because this does. I mean, I can remember way back. I was still living in Vancouver, Canada at the time when I first started hearing about telomeres and looking into this and going, this is really good stuff. But at the time, anything available was incredibly expensive. And I was coming out of university and, just making ends meet, but I was really fascinated. And then my father, who's very advanced stages Alzheimer's now, when he was first diagnosed, I remember looking again at gosh, I wonder if this is something that had he started taking or been using, if there would have been any difference in how quickly he declined or even that
I have a story about that.
Oh, please share.
I had a lady who gave it to her husband who had Alzheimer's. And then one day they were sitting down and he went upstairs and he came back down with his sweater on. She's like, is everything okay? She's like, yeah, I went up to get my sweater because I was cold. He had not made that connection for over a year.
Wow. Yes, because that's one of the
away.
things that goes. They feel the body sensate like hunger, and they don't associate it with hunger. Just like my stomach hurts or I feel sick, but they couldn't make the connection. They don't make those connections.
And when
that's
he went out, she was in tears telling me about him going to get his sweater.
Yeah,
I was
gives me goosebumps. Actually, yeah.
Awesome.
Oh, that's wonderful. Well, I'm really, really excited. Like I read about the product and I was excited reading about it, but hearing you talk about it, I'm way more. I don't have a word that's better than excited, but I am that. If there was a word, that's how I feel about it. And I am so grateful that you've got this product and it's available, because again, it's just one of those things that fits into when you take care of yourself in your environment. The body knows what to do to take care of you. When you take care of it, it takes care of you. And sometimes we just get in the way with so much stuff and we don't have to overcomplicate it. Yeah.
I agree.
Awesome. I wanted to, the conversation's so good. I got my notes here. I'm making more notes and stuff, but I wanted to end with this for the people listening, because I really do believe that most people want to do the best things for themselves, their families, as far as health and I mean, we all know we're getting older. We can't avoid that, but we want our parents and our families to age with the quality of life so that we can enjoy one another. You want to have grandma and grandpa over and able to have fun with the family and move about freely and stuff. So we want to keep people well and healthy. I really believe people want that, but again, it becomes, we are so overwhelmed with what social media is telling us, do this, do that. For the people listening to our show, what are 3 to 5 things that you can suggest that they can start doing right now to not only invest in that optimal quality of life and making themselves really healthy, but as uncomplicated as possible, so they don't have to get all spun up into, I need to do this detox, and then I need to cut out gluten, and I need to go vegan, and I need to do all these things.
Discover themselves. They really got to tune in to who they are and stop living in the ego life of what their brain is creating all these scenarios, and they need to learn self-awareness and just become aware of what's going on with themselves and how the world around them is affecting them. I mean, literally, if people can just slow down and become more aware and see those connections of cause and effect, whether it be in relationships or whether it be with food, that's huge. That's just huge. Drink water. Soda pop and coffee. I mean, I'm sitting here drinking coffee. I'm a hypocrite if I tell you, don't drink your coffee, but people need to hydrate. It's huge. It's just people are not drinking enough water today. And I see dehydration constantly just by looking at blood and showing people like, look, you're dehydrated. And this is what your cells do. But when you're looking at diet, there's so many things. I mean, that what makes the biggest impact is what should I not eat is more important than what I should eat.
Right.
It's like finding those food allergies, and it's hard to turn around if you're not going to do testing. Sometimes you can start people on that blood type diet, Diadamo, and say, whatever it says don't eat, do that as an elimination for a month. And then bring those foods back in one at a time. And you'll find that you won't react to all of them, but you will find that there's going to be some of them that are just, oh my God, this is what triggers all my symptoms to come on, So food sensitivities and allergies, but from a diet standpoint, we hear about whether it be vegetarian or keto or whatever, I just talk qualitarian, what is the quality of what you're putting in your body from farm to table? Right. Because, the more processing it is, the more, devalued that food is, and nowadays, broadly, buy a box of cereal and it says this food contains genetically modified components. Like, do I really want to eat this?
The big labels. I know it's, I know that, like for myself, growing up in Canada, my dad was from a farm, and then I lived on we had a huge beef cattle ranch and grain farm. So I was very lucky for the majority of my life eating from the land to my plate. And what I noticed, and then when I moved to New Zealand, there's so many regulations as far as like they can't use antibiotics, everything has to be grass-fed, like very well legislated and governed. So you're getting, I mean, even going to your local grocery store, a lot of what you're getting would be considered here organic because you're not allowed to use these things. When I moved to the US is when I started having digestive issues. You know, like it's true. And I'll tell people that and they'll kind of look at me and go like, really? Come on. Like maybe it's your age. Well, maybe it is. But what I know is that I started to have, and not like I'm sick all the time, but I started to notice I just didn't feel as good after eating as I used to. I didn't have that same, like when you eat food, it's fuel. So you should feel a burst of energy. I don't really have that. I have more digestive upset. And it was since moving here. Getting off the farm.
Yeah. I mean, I look at the hybridization of wheat in our country. I tell people, I tell them there's a book out there, the wheat belly called?
Wheat belly.
I think Wheat belly. I mean, you know, what they, you know, how they're processing it and everything. It's a poison in my opinion.
Yeah.
You know, get wheat out of your diet. Spelt's a good alternative, although the government classified it as a wheat. It's not.
Weed. That's right.
You know, but you know, quality is number one. You know, try to find that self-awareness, slow down, become aware of your body, become aware of your relationships, become aware of your patterns. And then, you know, you have to make a choice at that point. Once you become aware, then it becomes choice. Am I really, you know, okay, I see what this pattern is doing. Now, what am I doing to try to change this pattern? You know, so you have to, you know, we're sitting here saying that people desire to be healthy, but if they're desiring to just buy a product, you know, that's not necessarily the answer.
Well, it's not taking real responsibility.
Right. The responsibility is like, okay, what am I eating? What am I drinking? How am I identifying what's going on in my body? The why, you know, because many people have 40 years of devitalization to their body. And then, okay, this product or this natural approach is making me, I'm just feeling crappier. It's like, well, you're starting a detox.
Exactly.
You know, you have to look at the patterns of what's happening and that's when people come in here and I look at their numbers, I can turn around and say, oh, you're starting a detox. Are you getting some foggy brain?
Yeah. You feel like you have the flu.
Getting headaches right here, you know, because the chemistry tells me the side of the body and where in the body. And I'm like, how's that right shoulder? Like, how do you know my right shoulder's bothering me? I'm like, because that's where your chemistry is drawing energy from. I'm like, you're probably getting headaches right here of your left eye. They're like, I am. And I said, they're probably between 11 and 2 o'clock. You know, they're like, they are. I'm like, that's when your sugars are crashing. And you know, you just sit there and you can explain these things to people and it blows them away. But what it is I'm just helping them to understand the patterns of what they're doing in life that are leading to the consequences of what they're experiencing.
It's fantastic. Fantastic. Here's what I want to do is I'm going to start taking the product and I want to have you back because I can make claims here on the show about how I'm feeling as a result of taking it. And I want to actually talk more about this. This is such a passion and an inspiration for me. That's just getting this information out there, making people realize it really is this simple. Everything in our life is a relationship. We have relationships with people. So when those are in trouble, you know, if you're smart, you get some help, you get some counseling, you work the process to make it better and healthier. We have relationships with food. We have relationships with our environment. So all of this stuff is relationship based. And when we have the awareness to go, this isn't working, what can I do? Take some responsibility, make some changes, the body just knows what to do. It knows because the body, when you think about it, the body doesn't want to spend 80, 90 years feeling like garbage. It wants to spend its lifetime feeling good. And yes, we will age. We will get slower. Things happen with age. You know, the mechanics doesn't work exactly the same as it did in our 20s and 30s, but it doesn't mean that at 60, everything just breaks down and has to go for crap. That's not how it's meant to be.
You have a dog, or you know somebody who has an old dog?
Yes, I do.
Then I'll sit and then we'll send you a box of that stuff. And they're going to, dogs are amazing because they can't lie about what's happening.
They can't. No, they can't.
And we have people who are like, oh my God, my dog's running and playing like he hasn't done in 7 years. Yeah. You know, it's amazing. It's fun.
Fantastic. Yes. We'll test the dog and I'll take video of the dog now and then. So we'll do that too. Thank you so much, Dr. Misak, for being on the show. And like I said, I do want to have you back. I want to follow up with my own testimonial from taking the product, which I'm going to start doing. And because there's so much more, there's so much more I want to talk about because it's such a big, important topic. So again, folks, the links are here in the show notes. Make sure you click those, enter that code SBD10 to get your discount for the product. Dr. Misak, thank you so much. Thank you so much. You'll come back, right?
It was a pleasure. Sure.
Absolutely. Okay. Don't forget to leave us a 5-star review, folks, and please share this show with someone that you know can really benefit from the information. I am Coach Tanya Fines here at Strong by Design. Can't wait to talk to you again. Take care, everybody.
Thank you so much for listening to the Strong by Design podcast. If you found value in today's episode, please subscribe so that more people can find out about our show. Plus, you don't want to miss any future episodes with the amazing guests and topics we have lined up for you.